Hoping we are back and you guys can hear me. And I apologize for that. Hopefully, you guys won't comment in saying that you can hear me. It would be nice to say if you could hear me. Um, but be that as it may, I think we might have remedied the issue. I'm hoping. So I will leave it upon you guys to comment in as you typically do. And hopefully, you guys see me. We are hello out and about, and we are good to go. So, I don't know. Like we test this, we test this, we test this, we test this, and here we are. It just I don't know what to tell you guys. I apologize for that greatly. So, like I said, if you guys can hear us, let me know, please comment in. You guys are my eyes and my ears, as we like to say uh, in the business. So, with that being said, we cut about 24 minutes trying to friggin' fix the audio issue out, right? So, I don't know what to tell you on that. I greatly apologize. So, we were talking some NBA. We'll push back some of the commercials. We were talking NBA, Tyrese Haliburton. And it's interesting because I mentioned this. I mentioned that here's a situation where and let me just hold on. I think we are good now. Okay, so I mentioned that is it Indiana? And I apologize, guys. I know you guys are livid. I see you guys commenting already. I apologize. I apologize. I apologize. My goodness. Can we get a mulligan here? Can I get a little charity from you guys? Seriously, is that okay? Can I get a little charity from you guys once in a while? Not the end of the world. We are trying to remedy this. We are trying to figure things out, and hopefully when we move the friendly confines of the studios, we'll be better off. That's all I'm saying. It happens. My goodness. So I was talking a little bit about Halliburton and um, the fact that afterwards, or I was it after the game? It might have been prior to the game. No, I'm pretty sure it was probably after the game. He's not going to make those comments, before a game, right? He's not going to do that. Post game comments talking about the media, kind of taking shots at the media. And listen, that's all well and good, man. But last night the difference was pretty. It was pretty obvious. It was pretty easy. Last night the difference was the bench. Halliburton played well, but the bench went crazy, and the bench gave them all the production that they needed last night. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys that Halliburton is a star or he's not a star. I mentioned the other day, I thought what he's doing was absolutely clutch. I really did. I thought that, if you break it down and you look at his numbers, he hasn't gotten to the line, which is absolutely crazy and ludicrous to think. He hasn't gotten to the line, which it's beyond me that a player of his caliber has not been able to get to the charity stripe. But with all that being said, you've got a situation now where Indiana got the great production from the bench, and Indiana got a lot of contributions where they needed contributions. And right now, at this moment, they're leading this series 2-1. Now, am I going to go as far as to say that they are a juggernaut? I'm not going to do that. And again, guys, for just chiming in, I apologize. I had audio issues. No harm, no foul. Give me a little charity on this Thursday, will you? Lloyd Vance at 5:30 on the NFL. I just think OKC is just, are they taking this team lightly? I don't know. Is that possible? Is it possible to take a team lightly when it comes to the NBA Finals? That doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, it's the NBA Finals. If you can't get up for this series, you've got some issues. You've got major issues if you can't get up for this series. Everything is on the line. Legacies are on the line. Franchise altering championship series wins are on the line. If you're Indiana, if you're OKC, did you arrive too early? Is this an unprecedented run by the Indiana Pacers? So if you're in that boat, if that school of thought is where you're at, I'm with you. I'm absolutely 100% with you guys. And man, I apologize. I apologize. It's about damn time. I apologize. We'll do a little extended version tonight to make up for the 15 minutes that we lost, and I appreciate that. Um, Listen, I really don't know if this Indiana team is going to win this series. They're up 2 games to 1. I don't know if they're legit, but what I know is that OKC has not played their best basketball. That's what I do know. That's what I do know. I went on the air the other day and I told you I thought OKC was going to win this game by at least 10 to 15 points. We had it for one of my picks, one of my fresh roasted coffee plays. And now you got a situation where Indiana's up 2-1. Kevin C chiming in Q. What the hell? Get rid of the friggin' microphone already. Laugh out loud. Then he actually follows up with, what the hell is going on with the Knicks? I can't answer that, man. It's bad right now. It is so bad. Nobody wants to take a shot, take a gamble with the Knicks. I mean, it's utterly it's bizarre. It's bizarre. TJ chimes in Newcastle. Q. My goodness, the Death Star mic is certainly mush. Good to see you back on the air. 15 minutes is not that bad. Give us a little extra edition of the middays and we'll be okay. Back to your comments on the NBA. I think Indiana's just flat out playing harder. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not going to tell you that OKC is not giving max effort, but maybe there's a level or a lack thereof confidence with OKC. Maybe OKC believes they can be like Golden State back in the day and turn it on. I don't believe you can. I don't believe you can. And right now, listen, if somehow the Indiana Pacers turn around and they win on Sunday, and now you've pushed OKC, or what is it, a Friday game? I have to double check the schedule. And now you pushed OKC and you have them to, it's actually Friday, pardon me. If they go up and they win this game and take a 3-1, that's a commanding series lead. You might as well call it a day. I mean, they got 3 chances to close it out. If you're OKC, if you're the Thunder, you have to. You are in a must-win situation tomorrow night. Again, a must-win situation. I can't do it. It's not the Death Star mic. Please sign below to remove the Death Star mic. Is that what we're going, man? I can't do it. It's not the mic, and it's not pilot error. Sometimes EV mucks. Sometimes there's an issue here and there, and we just got to fight through it. That's all. That's it. We have to fight through it. We have to adapt. We have to overcome. That's what life's all about. Sarge chimes in, Q, you were talking like a mime for about 15 minutes. And I was like, I wonder, does he have anything good to say? Ha, ha, ha. What is going on with your Knicks? Is everyone afraid to take this job? Well, 2 things. Joke's on you. We're back on the air, my friend. But secondly, and more importantly, I have no idea what's going on with the Knicks. Right now, they look extremely foolish because every single person they're trying to go after, they're being denied requests. And you can argue that this head coaching search is just a disgrace, a flat out disgrace. And if I'm a Knicks fan, which I am, it's got to worry me a little bit. It definitely has to worry me a little bit because I feel as though people think now, you're allergic to this franchise. You don't want to take a shot with this team. And that's okay if you believe that Rose and Dolan are going to be troublesome, meddlesome. But at this moment, you're pretty much being locked out by everyone. Everyone that you're trying to speak to, you are. I mean, every Knicks request just it's been denied. It's been absolutely denied. And don't give me Mike Brown. I will go nuts. I will go nuts. I don't want to hear this. They're in no rush. When they fired Thibodeau, the knee-jerk reaction, right? I mean, you got Billy Donovan denied. Billy Donovan denied. Jason Kidd denied. Udoka denied. Finch denied. Snyder denied. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Is it possible nobody wants to touch this job? I mean, I thought it was a marquee job. You got a major market. You got a historic franchise. You're bringing back juice to MSG. You got to the Eastern Conference Finals first time in 20 years, 25 years. Why would you not want this gig? Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. All right, 4:33 on a Thursday edition. Middays with Q. We are powered by our good friends over at TriX57. We are on X, the YouTube channel, and of course, SR 1029 FM, the game. By the way, we'll do our Q-Fecta picks. Baseball, we'll get into that a little bit in the 5 o'clock hour. Mets won again, man. Friggin' Mets are just absolutely on a tear. Six straight, 12 of 15. They did it again today, beating the Nats 4-3. They're 21 games over 500. Phillies are idle. Mark against the Jays. Yanks look to sweep the Royals. Aaron Judge is not human. We'll get into that as well. The MVP odds, NL, AL. Football heavy in about 45 minutes. Lloyd Vance around 5:20, 5:30. We'll get into the NFC East and we'll break down those divisions. For those that think Washington is not going to be a player, tune in. For those that think Philly might take a step back, tune in. For those that know and believe Dallas and the Giants are going to stink, yes, we know that. Tune in. We've got some thoughts on the NFC East coming up on the other side. But a little more NBA talk, then we'll mix in a little baseball. We certainly can get into the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 4 this evening. Florida looks to take a commanding 3-1 to lead over Edmonton. Your comments, as always, hashtag Middays with Q, MWQ. We're powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee and Played Again Sports, 2 locations, 1450 Clements Bridge Road in Deptford, New Jersey, and the new store that they just opened in Mount Laurel. I promise the audio will not go anywhere. We will take a quick time out. Be patient, guys, and we will certainly be back in a moment. I promise, I promise, I promise. All right, 4:35 on a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here. Again, we are on the YouTube channel X at Rich Q on Q, and of course, SR 1029 FM, the game. And that's pretty easy. Don't forget to follow along to my guy, again, at SR 1029, the game. And good stuff from Angel jumping on board yesterday. And again, we do apologize for the audio issues. We have worked them out, and I see the views are coming up. You guys are engaged, and that's all we can ask for. All right, what do we got here? LJ talking a little NBA Q. I don't think Indiana is better than OKC. I just think OKC is disinterested. Yeah, but how do you make that claim? How do you make that claim? That a team is disinterested and you're in the friggin' NBA Finals? If you can't get up for the NBA Finals, you've got issues. You've got some major issues. You know, what transpired last night was pretty simple. OKC had no answers for Indiana's bench, despite the fact that they had 3 players with 20 or more points. You know, Haliburton, whether you think he's a star or not, he gave you got 22 out of him last night. And Siakam is just steady as they come. It was the bench last night. McConnell, barbecue Nat with 10. They got 27 from Matron, right? 22-year-old put up some big numbers last night. You got another 8 from my guy Toppin, 4 from Shepard. Do the math. What is that? 27, 37, 41. You almost got 50 points from the bench. I mean, that's rare. You get that type of production. That's unbelievable. If you get that type of production. Let me get to some of these comments. I have no idea what you guys are saying. You guys are aggravated today. You guys are aggravated today because of the audio issue. Just have a poster behind you on the wall that says "Q at 4 pending Death Star Mike." That's uncalled for. Seriously, That's totally uncalled for. I mean, where's that coming? Where does that come from? Where does that come from? That's a veiled shot. That's all that is. That is a veiled shot. And I thought yesterday, after having the appearance from Angel, everyone was going to be satisfied. Everyone got their fill. We were all happy. We were giddy. We were getting out of here with the happy faces on at 4 o'clock. Different story today. Different story today from the man. And I get it. You know, you get a little aggravated sometimes. That's fine. That's fine. Shot at the Death Star Mike. Death Star Mike had nothing to do. Is it possible maybe it was just pilot error? Is it possible it was on me today? Is that it? Could be. All right. By the way, I'll throw up the NFC East totals in the 5 o'clock hour. Got the question of the day, which we will get into as well. So keep it locked in for that, because I know you guys are just so intrigued with the Q question of the day. Let me get to a couple more comments on the NBA. Q, I listened to Haliburton's comments. It's so funny. Stephen A. Smith had to go on ESPN and actually refute those claims and then pull the old, I'm going to be here longer than you are. Yeah, I mean, listen, who cares? I mean, honestly, like, Stephen A. is making how much money? Does he really, should he care because Tyrese Haliburton basically clowned him? Haliburton's going to come out. He's going to say whatever he wants to, and that's fine. And, you know, my thing is this. This is what I would caution, okay? This is what I would caution Haliburton. He's a little cocky. He's a little arrogant. We already know that. But if you're going to say something like that after you get a win, and it's only game 3 of the NBA Finals, and I'm not sighing with Stephen A. here, but in the words of Stephen A., you better damn win the Finals. You better damn win it. You better win it. Because if you don't, you're going to look foolish. You really are. So he can criticize talking heads, right? He can criticize talking heads, and that's fine because they get paid to do what? Talk. We get paid to talk. We get paid to give an opinion, whether you guys like it or not, whether you agree with it. Athletes don't have to like it. My God, you know how many athletes, how many feathers I've ruffled over the years? They don't care. But if they come out and say something, it's almost as though you're getting under their skin. So, you know, listen, there have been players that have called out the media, Giannis, Durant, LeBron, and now Haliburton. If the Pacers go on to win the series, then you have to give them credit where credit is due. I'm talking about Haliburton. But you also don't have to get bent out of shape because he's taking a shot at us. He's taking a shot at you. Listen, he gets paid. Stephen A. gets paid a boatload of money. A boatload of money. He should not worry at all about what someone's saying about him. What the hell does he care? What the hell does he care? And whether it's an ignorant comment or not, it doesn't matter. It really does not matter because guys are going to try to get themselves amped up. That's what they're going to do. They're going to figure out ways where they can motivate themselves, motivate their team, motivate their teammates. That's all that's about. That's it. Half the time, these guys don't even know what they're talking about. They're not accurate. They're not factually accurate. They're not. They're really not. And look, if this team goes up 3-1 and then they eventually close out OKC, what are you going to say then? No one's suggesting that some of these talking heads don't have knowledge. Some of the players do. Some of them are good. Some of them are entertainers. Some of the media knows the game. Like this notion, if you didn't play the game or because you didn't play the game, you don't know anything. That's a crock. That's a crock. I mean, Howard Cosell said that 50 years ago, right? The book, I Never Played the Game. You shouldn't dismiss or diminish a media member's opinion or take if they didn't play the game. But there are some cases where we are in this hot button, right? We are in this, we got to be first. We are in this, I have to say something to, stir the drink. I got to say something to stir the pot. I got to say something to get under people's skin. And that's what guys like Stephen A. does. he feasts on this. So, he'll make it all about him with his show and ESPN and going on the YouTube channel and XM and Dog and everything. He'll make it all about him. He'll be so obsessed about this. He will wait for Haliburton to struggle in game 4 to come back and see, I told you. This is why you don't say anything. This is why you have to just win. That's what he's going to do. So for Haliburton to say what he said, it's not the end of the world. It's not. He's criticizing media guys, saying half of them don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Well, guess what? I got news for you. He's actually accurate. He's accurate. You got guys that were talking years ago, talking about quarterbacks and veterans and saying, hey, and I'm not making light of this. Oh, maybe Team A should go sign Dwayne Haskins. Well, did you not realize that he passed away? Like some of these guys, they don't prep, they don't prepare, they don't care. So he has a right to say that. What I wouldn't have done if I was him is, again, a little decorum, right? A little decorum here, not even talk about it after a win. Just kind of brush it off because now the target is on you, whether you like it or not. Now everyone's going to sit there and say, well, now we got something if this kid in the Pacers can't close out OKC. But a regular season, no one's talking about this. Playoffs, NBA Finals, this is why this is a big story. And maybe Halliburton's the kind of guy that he needs to say stuff because he's got that chip on his shoulder and feels slighted. How many players have come out? The NBA, they took a poll. He's one of the most overrated players. This fine line, this distinction between is he an all-star? Is he a superstar? Is he a franchise player? He's been clutch in the postseason. No one can dispute that. They can't. 4:45, quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll close that hour number 1. Keep it locked in. Audio, myself, Dev Star Mike. We're not going anywhere. All right, 4:47 on Thursday edition of Middays with Q. I was just listening to the cut by Stephen A. talking about, it's your peers that called you out. See how these guys try to be very slick. Come on, man. You never called out athletes. Like, just stop. It's foolish for him to even say that. Like, don't be overly sensitive. Seriously, how much you getting paid now, Stephen A? Like, don't be overly sensitive, my man. It should mean nothing to you. You can lash out all you want. It doesn't matter. Whether NBA players think this kid's overrated really doesn't matter. He called out the media. Who cares? You love this. Now you got content, man. Now you got content. You got content. I mean, you guys sit up there, national stage, in front of millions of eyeballs, right? And you guys wax poetic. You guys criticize athletes all the time. All the time. All the time. So the fact that an athlete barks back a little bit and takes you to task and you show you're uberly sensitive, come on. I mean, seriously, right? So, like, Stephen A. critiquing players. Why are you being so sensitive? I'm just calling it how I see it. Nothing personal. Players critiquing Stephen A. Do you know who I am? Do you know the work I put in? Who are you to speak to me? Am I stop? Seriously, stop. You sound like a little girl. You sound like a little child. Like, suck it up. You want to rip the players? Rip the players. That's fine. And the players they are allowed to come back. They are allowed to come back. That's the beauty of this. This is the way I look at it. If if we sit and we are critical of players, right? And players want to then call us out for not being accurate. That's fine. That's fine. Because honestly, in this situation, Stephen A looks uberly sensitive. Too sensitive, man. Like, you're banking money left and right. You're on every friggin' show in the world. What the hell do you care what this kid says? What do you care? It's not the end of the world, man. You've got content now. Now you've got something to kind of hold over this kid if he screws up, if he can't close the deal, if the Pacers don't win the series, right? Now, again, the being slick is kind of being critical, because you can't blame someone has comments and then maybe they have a bad game. I don't believe you can sit there and say, well, it's because you said something. But we know how social media is. It's a cesspool. We know how these talking heads are. They're clowns. We know how it is in the sports world. You're going to try to hang your hat on something and find something to be critical about. But now this kid's got to go out. Because of this, he's got to go out and he's got to ball out. And at this moment, Indiana, if they keep getting this production from their bench, it really doesn't matter what this kid does. It doesn't. They're going to win the series in 5, and it might turn out to be one of the most unlikeliest runs. It's something we spoke about after they won game 1. It could be one of the most unlikeliest runs we've ever seen in sports. Now, again, I think if you equate it to the NFL and quarterbacks, that's clownish. If he wins the title, it's the NBA version of Eli. Again, that's an Eli hater. That's what we get there. That's what we get there. We get an Eli hater who went on the road and beat Green Bay. Then a couple years later, went on the road and beat San Francisco and beat the Patriots twice. That's fine. Come on. Stop it. Get the man's probably still upset at where we placed San Francisco. NFC West, right? I mean, that's, what do we got here? Mikey B chimes in. Q, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way Durant should be a part of the Knicks. I know the Knicks are too slow, but I'm telling you right now, do you really think Durant's going to allow them to be faster and help Brunson in the fourth quarter? I don't want Kevin Durant. I think I made myself clear. So I don't know. Maybe you heard incorrectly. But no, I want no parts of Durant. I really don't. I want no parts of Durant. Yeah, you can say that. Can you say that without laughing? No, that wasn't a compliment. And I'm sorry that I ruined your lunch because of the audio before. I want no part of Durant. I already told you guys this. Kevin Durant's a friggin' front runner. The Knicks have more issues than, trying to vie for the services of a guy in the twilight of his career and Kevin Durant. They need to find a friggin' head coach. I mean, that's where they're at right now. And it seems like everyone's allergic to the Knicks. That's the way I look at it. It's embarrassing. I mean, you're talking about a major marquee franchise, New York, Mecca, media capital. Here we go. MSG, historic franchise in the NBA, gets back to the Eastern Conference Finals, and nobody wants to touch the job because they probably believe Dolan had a hand in pushing Thibodeau out. And they probably, coaches back coaches. Coaches back coaches. And if they believe in, listen, Kiki is allowed to play with her toys. You guys hear it? Now she's out like a light. That was a couple moments ago. Coaches will back coaches. Yes, we're going to have to favorite that comment today, man. Coaches back coaches, period. They back coaches, period. And they probably didn't like what happened with Thibodeau. They probably didn't like the fact that Thibodeau's a stand-up guy, took out an ad, a flyer in the New York Times, thanking the Knicks, the franchise, the players, the fans. All great stuff. All great stuff. But it was time for a change. But but coaches don't like when other coaches get pushed out. And that's probably what they're looking at with Thibodeau right now. They're looking at Thibodeau. He got screwed, raw deal, pushed out. Hey, man, we're not going there. We don't want to deal with this. We don't want to deal with this. Absolutely, absolutely not. Not happening. No way. We're not doing that. We want to steer clear of this organization. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what kind of offense they're running. Jalen Brunson is a one-man show. Are we going to keep his father on? If we don't, is he going to be pissed off? What do we do with Mo? What do we do with Cat? What do we do with Hart? I mean, these coaches are probably saying we don't want to touch that. We don't want to touch that job. And again, mock all you want, but I don't think they're a laughing stock. I don't. I don't. I think they knew that they were going to get rid of Tom Thibodeau, and they made a choice to get rid of him. All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock. Lloyd Vance at 5:30. Keep it locked in. We'll get to more of your comments as well. Fast approaching 5, 60 to book, 60 to play with. We'll see you in about 2 to 3 minutes. Quick timeout. We will start to get into the NFL, your comments as well on the other side. It's a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We'll talk to you in a few. All right, 5 o'clock straight up on the East Coast, a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. Get to a lot of your comments as well on X. We are on the YouTube channel, X platform, Rich Q on Q, and of course, SR 1029 FM, the game. Man in Wilmington chimes in Q. I think it's a good point and a fair point. You're talking about the media and the athletes. A guy like Stephen A is banking a lot of money. We know that he wants to stir the pot. He wants to get under these players' skins. I have no problem with what Haliburton said, but I think you're a little off saying now he's got to back it up. What I'm saying is that when you criticize an athlete and you're in the media, you're you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion, and I see this. This is pronounced and prominent. And by the way, if you hear the chewing in the background, dogs got to eat, so just get over it. It's prominent and pronounced in boxing because so many fighters and so many fights that I've called over the years, you're more now inclined to have a little opinion as you're calling the action, right? And typically, if you're calling the fight with another fighter, they want to hear the fighter. They want to hear the observation, the analysis, right? Because fighters will see things 2, 3 moves ahead of time. All of a sudden, check left hook, southpaw, moving to the left, moving to the right. Are they working off the jab? Are they coming back with a combination? Whatever. Boxers don't like when the media is critical of them. They're uberly sensitive. That's a fact. That is a fact. So when a guy like Stephen A says what he says, and to be honest, half the time he's saying stuff and giving you stats, if you watch, they're really not accurate. It's more of like a blowhard opinion. Just because you're the loudest in the room doesn't mean you're right. Haliburton can say what he wants to say because he believes at that moment that the media doesn't really know what they're talking about. And to some extent, some of them don't. They cut their bones. They make their money on having opinions. That's all it is. Like we were talking yesterday about Chris Sims and his list. I don't know why Eagles fans get so upset when guys come out and they slight the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, right? Or they don't have him top 3, top 4, top 5, 6, 7. Okay. So somewhere, maybe someone doesn't have Patrick Mahomes number 1. Maybe in Baltimore, some of their talking heads think Lamar Jackson is overrated and he's top 10. He's not top 2 or 3. Maybe in, I don't know, New York when Eli played, the talking heads were like, yeah, he's elite. And some were like, no, he's overrated. Maybe in Philadelphia when McNabb plays, some of the talking heads were like, he's definitely a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's better than Romo. That was the argument for years, Romo or McNabb. Back and forth, right? So again, it's just, don't be so sensitive to it. I mean, it's like fishing, right? I'm about to cast, I got the bait, boom, and there we go. You guys are going to bite. And when I said yesterday, Sim sounds like a jackass because most of the time he does. But he knows exactly what to say to get people. I guarantee every friggin' blog in Philly, or there's 1,000 friggin' Eagles podcast. I mean, every time you turn around, there's, a nest, a bird's nest, a green flock, an Eagles Nation, an Eagles Pride, a Fly Eagles Fly. I mean, there's like 30 of them. What the hell? What can you talk about every day? The same nonsense, the same crap? So what? Jalen Hurts is top 5, top 10, top 8, top 7. Is he number 1? Is he number 2? It's all friggin' subjective. So the point is, when you go back to Haliburton as an athlete, if he feels compelled to stick up for himself and defend himself because maybe he needs that, maybe he's got that chip on his shoulder, maybe he's showing he's backing his teammates and they're playing the us against the world card, so be it. So be it. I mean, come on. So be it. Durant's too old. Q correct as always. Michael, I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm correct, but I would just say this. I'm not a fan of Durant, and I think he's breaking down. At least Cat was able to get his tramp stamp tattoo. That's true. That's actually, man, excellent. Good point. That's a good point. Jovan, Eagles fans and Philly media fall for the bait all the time. Philly radio definitely talking about Chris. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just without being disrespectful, it's just like clown talk radio. It is. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about lists for how long? I brought it up yesterday, and there's a method to the madness on why I brought it up. There's a method to the madness because it shows my segment yesterday was not so much about Sims. It was more about the perception of how we look at some of these quarterbacks, even the ones that win. And again, without belaboring the point, if you're consistent and you're consistently putting up good numbers and you're out on the field and you're performing at a high level, a consistent level, you're a pro's pro, you're showing up, you're winning games, you're outperforming the competition, you're outperforming arguably the best quarterback over the last 15 years. Sorry, Tom Brady already retired, so we just say Tom, put him to the side for a minute, the next GOAT, and say Patrick Mahomes twice on the biggest stage. To me, that warrants you being a top 5 quarterback. It's just, and again, someone listening right now, they can be a Washington fan. Well, Jaden Daniels is a top 5. They can be Cincinnati. Well, Burrow's a top 5. They can be Baltimore. Well, Lamar Jackson's better than Jalen Hurts. Hey, man, have fun Go, have fun. Argue all you want if that makes you sleep better at night. Argue all you want. It's my criteria. It's my criteria. You win, you win playoff games, you go on the road, you win championships, you're an MVP, you're a franchise quarterback in my book. Now, are there exceptions to the rules? Are there quarterbacks that we've seen that were not really good that have won a Super Bowl? You know, the names, we kind of always look at the no disrespect to the Trent Dilfers of the world, right? I mean, listen, all they asked them was to get what, 16 points, 17 points, and the defense would do the rest. You know, I'm not trying to slight him or his career, but that's a perfect example, is it not? I mean, you look at those that great, you know, the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? And Brad Johnson. I mean, do we sit there and say, "Oh man, this guy was a hell of a quarterback"? Well, he won a Super Bowl. He was a two-time Pro Bowl quarterback, but you know, if you think about it, the guy probably won 150 games in his career. That's not a bad, decent career, almost 30,000 yards. But I don't think of him as a Hall of Famer. You know, a franchise quarterback at that time. He bounced around and he found a home, and he was backed by defense. So who cares if Jalen Hurts was backed by the legs of Saquon Barkley and 2,000 yards? Who cares if Jalen Hurts has a great offensive line and two great receivers and a good tight end? It does not matter. You still have to go out and make plays on Sunday. You have to. You have to. So eventually, you have to stop being so overly critical of some of these guys, some of these quarterbacks. You have to. You have to. And the same could be said with some of these NBA players. Look, I stated my case on Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not going to go as far as to what others, you know, they called him a loser. I think that's very harsh. I think you can be a soft player. You know, you can hedge it by saying, look, he's not a winning player. He's not a winning player. But I'm not going to sit there and call a guy a loser. That's not what I'm going to do. I don't have to like his game, but this is the new NBA. I don't like Haliburton's game. I think his shot is ugly, but the kid's clutch. The kid's clutch. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You're not going to win the argument. You're not going to tell me he's not, right? He's not. He is. And if they win a championship, it's a crazy run that nobody saw coming. Nobody. Man chimes in. Bottom line is Hurts does what is needed and a little more. You can't knock that. No, you can't. That's clocking in and that's clocking out. That's exactly what that is. It doesn't have to be sexy on the eyes. It doesn't have to be, you know, constantly aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't. Look, you guys know my affinity for Eli Manning. Eli Manning was average at times, a good quarterback during the regular season throughout the course of his career. But came playoff time, he elevated his game. He was clutch. He was a clutch quarterback. No question about it. He was a clutch quarterback. He won a lot of championships. I should say 2 Super Bowls. He won playoff games. And he was as clutch as they come. But I also understood his limitations. I also understood that during the regular season, he wasn't going to, you know, give you the gaudy type of stats. I understand that. I really do. But during the regular season, he won you some games. It was in the playoffs that he made his money, that he made his mark. And we see that in sports. You look at Haliburton. Maybe his numbers don't blow you away during the regular season, but in the playoffs, they do. Siakam, they do. You know, I told you this the other day. We were talking about players, right? You know, DJ, clutch. Not the first time around with Seattle, but with Boston. Clutch. You know, Kerr was a clutch player. Hodges was a clutch player. Robert Horry was a clutch player. Vinny Johnson was a clutch player, right? Some of these guys didn't get the same accolades that maybe a Haliburton is getting. And some of these players are better than a Haliburton. But at this moment right now, when you look at his game and you look where Indiana is, whether you're Stephen A or talking head A, B, C, or D, the kid's taking a shot at the media. And the kid's proving the media wrong. And some media don't know what they're talking about. Some talking heads have no clue. If you can't come up with creative content every day, if you're talking about the same shit and nonsense, if you're doing lists, if you're asking questions 1,000 times during a 2, 3, 4 hour block of time on the radio, I don't care what market you're in, you're lazy. You're not creative. So this is easy fodder for the talking heads. This is easy fodder for Fox or ESPN. This is easy stuff. It's low-bearing fruit. Halliburton's taking a shot at the media. What is he saying? We don't know what we're talking about? Pfft, who cares? You know how many times I've gotten called out from athletes and fighters because of my opinion or my take? That's fine. We agree to disagree. I'm still going to respect you, but I might not like your style. I might question your, you know, resume. I might not like your last performance. I might say, hey, you might have won on the scorecards, but I scored it differently. It's just the nature of the game. That's all it is. That's it. That's all it is. And right now, what Indiana's doing is shocking because I did not see them making it to the NBA Finals. I did not see them pushing OKC. I did not even see them winning 2 games, and they've already done it. They've already done it. Matty Ice in Delaware chiming in. Q, I know you're talking about don't talk about the list with a smiley face. But if you think about it, I think one of your commenters made a great point. If you go out there, you perform, and you do everything you need to do, and you win, that's a winning player in my book. Hurts is a winning player. That's exactly it. Hurts is a winning player. That's all you can ask for in a quarterback. That's all you can ask for in a quarterback. And, you know, how many guys right now that are listening in, you've got your teams respectively, and you root for different teams, and you've got your favorite players or your favorite athletes or your favorite quarterbacks. I mean, how many guys are you taking over Hurts? How many? How many quarterbacks right now? I would probably say 3 to 4, the usual suspects. Jackson, who, by the way, hasn't won a Super Bowl. Allen hasn't won a Super Bowl. Burrow hasn't won a Super Bowl. Mahomes, all right, well, Hurts outperformed him twice. He outperformed him twice. Now, the trick is going to be to duplicate that success. See, that's always tough. That's always tough. Now you got to dig deep into the bag of tricks. So, what have you done for me lately? Well, if it goes, south and he's struggling, then the conversation is going to be, it was a lucky run. Thank God they had Saquon. They got lucky. I mean, that's because it's lazy, easy, low-bearing fruit. We all know that. But the quarterbacks that I mentioned, aside from Patrick Mahomes, they don't have the body of work championship-wise, pedigree-wise. Now, obviously, these quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, MVPs, but if you gave them truth serum and backed them in a corner, you don't think Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen would gladly trade their MVP trophies, their MVP awards for a Super Bowl, for a championship, for a Lombardi trophy? Absolutely. And they'd be lying if they told you anything different. So the Eagles fans, you're spoiled right now. You got yourself a franchise quarterback who all of you questioned when he was drafted. All of you questioned. All I heard at the time on the radio when I was doing my shows was, I can't believe this. What are they doing? They're undermining Carson Wentz. They don't believe in Carson Wentz. Well, not a bad backup plan. But if you remember, what did Doug years ago tell Bradford? Think about it. Go back. You know what? Don't allow any of these guys to take your job. Don't allow any of these guys to come in and take your job. Don't worry about looking over your shoulder. Remember that? I don't want you to have to look over your shoulder. Just go out and perform. Do the best that you can do. And if you perform, you're not going to have an issue. There's going to be no problems with me because you're doing what you need to do. And pardon me, at that time it was when they had Sanchez as a backup. Because remember, that was an unforgettable, with Sam Bradford. It was unforgettable. But you guys know exactly what I'm saying. Because the following year, that was the talk. That was actually the talk. And I remember, the phone lines were lighting up. It was 2016. Everyone was talking about it. Oh my God, look at the Eagles right now. What are they going to do with the quarterback position? Well, jettison Bradford. You got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz goes 7-9 as a rookie. And I'll never forget, he goes 7-9 as a rookie. And there was a moment during the season where Eagles fans wanted to run Doug Peterson out of town. And I believe it was late in the season. It was probably week 14, week 15. I don't know the exact week, but they played Baltimore really tough. And they had an opportunity. Remember, Baltimore was only a 500 team that year, but they played them tough. And Wentz was, knocked on his ass. He kept getting up. They tied it late, and then Doug decides we're going to go for two. And I'll never forget the next day I was on the air, I came on, and everyone was saying, I can't believe they took a win. I can't believe they took a win. I can't believe they took a win away from Carson Wentz. Listen, if you go out and you perform and you win, you're going to be left alone. Bo Nix, I believe Bo Nix will be a dark horse for, again, MVP. I gave you my two quarterbacks that I think are potential dark horses for NFL MVP. Murray is one of them, and Bo Nix is the next one. He is the quarterback that Peyton wanted. Sean Payton, that is. He is the quarterback that he is exactly what Sean Payton wanted. And, if you read the reports now in Denver, he's playing fast. He's playing loose. He's playing fast. I think they're going to let him sling it. I think they're going to open up the offense this year. I think he's going to put up some monster numbers. Am I going to go as far to say they're going to rival Kansas City? Not yet. I'll give you my AFC West predictions, but I'll say this. Do not dismiss Denver. Look at Denver, look at their win totals, look at them for the season. In fact, their leader, the Bunker Boys, is very quiet today. Oh, what all the Hurts talk? Well, you know why? Because I haven't said anything that was critical of Jalen Hurts, right? I guarantee you, though, he's got little peepers to the earstone, right? He's got little ears. They're listening. Because if I start talking about Washington Commanders, all of a sudden the comments are going to pop up because that's what they do. That's what the Bunker Boys do, man. That's what they do. It's like July, picnic on a Sunday, 93 degrees. Everyone's, the little fire hydrants are out, the sprinklers, kids are running the slip and slide. Back in the day, we're barbecuing, we're cooking, we got the music on. And then you get those trio of gnats that just fly around the potato salad, just fly around the chicken, just fly around the burger. They don't go away. You swat them. You got that aunt and uncle, right? When it's like 90 degrees, you're not supposed to like go like this, right? Because you're just going to make yourself hotter. But you got that aunt or uncle. They're trying to swat them away, swat them away, swat them away. That's what the Bunker Boys are. That's what the Bunker. They're just gnats. That's all. And they will come out when they feel like coming out. Washington should split with the Eagles this year. They should. 100%. Ty chimes in. Excellent analogy, Q, with the barbecue. I don't know about these Bunker Boys that you speak of, but I hope they chime in more often because I think the Eagles take a step back. And this coming from a Commanders fan. Got to get him on the comments section on the YouTube channel as well, not on X. I don't believe the Eagles take a step back. I don't. They're too good. They're too good. I mean, you're talking to defending Super Bowl champs. What makes you guys think that they're going to regress? Honestly, what makes you think that? Yeah, they lost some players, but they gained some players. That's life in the NFL once you win a Super Bowl. When you win a championship, guys want to take the money. Guys want to go in a different direction. Guys decide, hey, we want to try to cash in. There's nothing wrong with that. They still have their workhorses. They still have Saquon. They still have the line. They still have the weapons. Lock of the year. We're going to put it down. The man says at what time are we looking at here? East Coast time, 5:17. The 12th of June, not the 12th of never. The man says lock of the year under 11.5 wins for the Eagles. Yeah, but that still might be enough to win the division. Giants and Dallas are going to stink. I mean, they're going to be bad. They're going to be really bad. So are you really kind of going out on a limb here? I mean, are the Eagles going to win 13, 14 games? No, I don't think so. But are they going to win 10, 11, 12? I think it's more likely. I'll throw it out right now. Speaking of which, I'll throw it out because I was going to wait for Lloyd, but here's the question of the day. More likely to happen, the Philadelphia Eagles missed the playoffs or Washington, the Commanders, win the NFC East. More likely to happen. It's not a bad question of the day. It's not. Let's see. Agree on Bo Nix. Yeah, I think Nix is going to be a stud. I do. I really do. I think that if they allow him to look down the field more, and he's got a strong arm. Look, young quarterbacks are going to make mistakes that are going to drive a head coach absolutely crazy. But you're talking about a kid that threw for close to 4,000 yards last year, right? Close to 4,000 yards, close to 30 touchdowns. And he didn't have a back who was remotely close to rushing for 1,000 yards. Williams only had 500 yards. So think about if they get that short yardage, that ground attack going. Now, Sutton was a big time wide receiver threat. He was a big time wide receiver threat. And I think one of the sneaky moves in the offseason by Denver, when we talk about the entirety of the NFL, Evan Ingram. If he stays healthy, I'm telling you right now, look, I know he joined when he was with the Giants, and he turned his career around with Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence. I think this kid can have a monster season. I think he can have a monster season in that offense because Peyton wants to get the tight end involved. You know it, and I know it. Lock of the year, whenever the Seattle under is because Sam Darnold is their quarterback. I don't even know what their under is, but take it because Darnold is trash. Q. Well, if you tuned in the other day, we had a really nice segment on the NFC West, and I still don't understand why. Why you have this disdain for Sam Darnold. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Did he do something personal to you? I mean, did he pickpocket you? What's the issue with Darnold? Because they were 14-3 last year. Yeah, he stunk it up against Detroit late. Didn't have a very good playoff game against the Rams with that defense. He got sacked. Seattle's win total. I mean, what the hell? We just gave it to you the other day. Seattle's win total was pretty high. I think it was 10.5. I should know this by heart. Hold on, I apologize. Seattle's win total is. Well, this can't be right. They had it at 7.5. There's no way it's that low. There's absolutely no way it's that low. It should be right around 9. Yep, 8.5. Some books have it at 7.5, and then others have it at 8.5, 9. In that division, again, I think they got an opportunity to win some games. I do. I think they have an opportunity. What's up, man? Man Q has been mild mannered tonight. Gnats are very annoying. Let me see. Needs to be Death Star Mike almost sabotaged the show. Yeah, that was pretty annoying. I'm not gonna lie. That was 15 minutes. 15 minutes, which is not good. I mean, Vince, you can. I know you got some takes, to fire me up, but it is. Hearing Van Gundy, the Knicks will hire Stan and not Jeff. Stan, the man to rescue for you, Q. I mean, it's so bad right now. If you're a Knicks fan, it's horrible. I mean, think about this. Everyone is denying the Knicks. I mean, they there's no wiggle room. There's none. There's no wiggle room whatsoever. And and I can make fun of myself. I can make fun of myself. And I can make light of this because this is true life experience. This is true life experience. Think about the Knicks right now. The fact that, and some of you can relate to this. Some of you can relate to what I'm about to say. But if you're the Knicks and everyone's taking shots at you, and again, they think you're kind of like the laughing stock at the league, right? I mean, you've got egg on your face right now. You've got egg on your face because you can't get anyone to return a call. You can't get through the gate. You can't get through the velvet rope. Every coach, every team is deny. So what's the problem? Is it Dolan? Is it Rose? Is it maybe they don't deal with Karl Anthony Towns? Maybe they're waiting to see if they trade Karl Anthony Towns, if they make a run for Durant. What are they going to do with Brunson? We know Jalen's not going anywhere. I'm talking about Rick. I mean, what is it all of a sudden that the Knicks are like they're on an island by themselves and nobody wants to touch them? Is it because Thibodeau was that revered? I mean, if you throw me Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to spit back my fresh roasted coffee, and that's not fair to fresh roasted coffee because they've been very good to me. So I mean, like, what are we doing here? You got rid of a coach who was there for 5 years. Great. You got rid of a coach who led them to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. Hey, congratulations, right? He's not Pat Riley. He's not Phil Jackson. He's not. So, like, what are we doing here? Is he that revered that people around the league look at a guy like Thibodeau and say, well, if they screwed him, what are they going to do with us? Right? I mean, think about it. Has Dolan ever heard of contracts, and does he understand that people signed to one don't normally take new jobs unless you're a college football coach? Dolan understands that. But again, I think Leon Rose had his hand in this more than Dolan did. And if Dolan was going to push back Leon Rose doesn't care because look at all the money that he has. Look at all the money that he made. Whether it's a bad look or not, the optics right now, the perception is it was a move that they did in haste. They didn't think it through. Now, was I being irrational after they lost game one? Perhaps, but I also called it. I also told you if they lose the series, it's a fireball fence. You can't get to that point after 20, 25 years and then lose that game like they did and then basically have a complete rest of the no-show. They got lucky against the Boston Celtics. I'm sorry. They got lucky. Tatum goes down. I get it. Game 1 and 2, they came back from 20 down. Are we giving all the credit to the players? If that's the case, then, shouldn't you give the credit to the head coach? Well, if the players are also going to get the blame too when they lose to Indiana, doesn't the coach get the blame? Like, there's got to be this balancing act. There has to be a balancing act, and you have to walk it. And it is a tightrope. It is when it comes to being coach in the NBA because it is a players' league first and foremost. I don't hear the players go on social media. You have your season closing interview here and there, right? And you meet the media and, hey, it's tough on us. He was a good guy. Loved playing for him. He'll land on his feet. Well, when they bring somebody in and all of a sudden the person that they bring in, maybe now they're doing something differently, more creatively on offense, maybe on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe you can float a little more and roam on the defensive side of the ball. Hey, now I'm going to get my reps. Now I'm going to get my incentives. Now I'm going to get an opportunity. This is the guy I want to play for. Ultimately, after Thibodeau's fired, any coach is fired, there's that little mourning period by the players, and then you move on. You're thinking about next year. That's where we're at. And Dolan and Rose are not going to players and trying to get them feedback. They're not. Because no one on that team has earned that right. Seriously, they haven't. Don't tell me that is Brunson. No. That's the problem with the NBA. You give way too much. You allow way too much of the players to interject on what's going on. You can't have it. LeBron goes to Rich Paul, tell them right now, if they don't draft my kid, we're not going to do any business. All right, draft Bronny, here you go. I mean, we've seen it in the NBA. We're seeing it right now with Durant. And the Suns don't have to be sensitive to Kevin Durant. They don't have to worry about Kevin Durant's feelings. Why should they? They shouldn't. The longer they hold on to him, tougher it is to move him. But it's a players' league. And typically what happens in the NBA, I've said it for years, the players don't go. The coaches go. That is a fact. Players unhappy? Not a problem. Not a problem. We'll get rid of the coach. And we've seen coaches win who have been fired. We have seen coaches take teams deep into the playoffs. Hell, Denver fired their GM and their head coach with 3 games left in the regular season, 2 years removed from winning an NBA championship and getting back to the playoffs, with arguably the best player in the league. And they still had a pretty good showing in the playoffs. 3 games left in the regular season. And we're going to sit here and we're going to, the eulogy, right? Eulogize Thibodeau because he got fired from a job, which I'm sure there are other NBA teams that'll hire him, if they need a head coach. He'll land on his feet. My problem right now is okay, you made the move. Did you make it knowing that you had someone in mind and you were hoping to maybe get an interview with him? You were hoping maybe you were going to get, access wasn't going to get denied. You were going to get permission to speak to them, or do you have an outside the box thinking guy, and you guys know exactly what you're doing and we don't? That's my problem with the Knicks. All right, fast break at 5:30. Lloyd Vance coming up on the other side. We'll talk a little NFC East. All right, 5:31 on a Thursday edition of Middays with Q. Rich Quinones here. We are powered by our good friends over at TriX57. And of course, fresh roasted coffee. 20% off your first purchase, BYP20. Before we bring in Lloyd, which you see my man Lloyd on the screen. What do we got here? Matt in Claymont chimes in. Q, stop whining about the Knicks. What's the big deal? They're getting denied left and right. It's really not that big of a deal. Nobody wants to coach his team. You know why it's a big deal? And I said this before. It bothers me, and I believe many that are listening into the show can relate to this. The Knicks are getting denied left and right. And it reminds me, and I say this in jest, so don't go running now, right? The PC people, but the Knicks are being denied, honestly, like more times than I was when I went on my senior prom. And that's saying a lot. I mean, it is. It's saying a lot. I mean, access denied, not even interested. Take me home. Don't even try it. There's no kiss goodnight. Can't even walk you to the door. The Knicks. I'm letting people get out of the car, Lloyd, and they're walking up to the house by themselves. I don't even get a wave. I don't even get a floaty kiss. Nothing. A bye bye. That's it. That was senior prom for me. This is exactly what's happening with the Knicks. I welcome in my good friend Lloyd Vance, host of Lloyd Vance's Insider Football, SR 1029 FM. The Game. What's going on, pal?
Doing great. Yeah. The Knicks should not have fired their coach. I thought they had a pretty good season. Now they got a mess on their hands, and
Yeah.
and everybody's is denying them, as you were just saying.
Yeah, that's like I said, it just brings back memories to my adolescence where, It's a good thing Cinemax always had that, the little squigglies on Saturday night. But see, you had to be very careful. You had to wait for the parents to go to bed. All right. Oh, all right. So anyway, our guy Lloyd Vance kind enough to join us. All right, NFC East on the docket. Let me give you the win totals here. And let's start with the defending Super Bowl champ, Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll flash it on the screen right now. Eagles 11 and a half, Commanders 9.5, Cowboys 7.5, Giants 5.5. So we'll start from obviously Philly, work our way down. I believe Washington will push them. I do. But I also believe that Philadelphia has the horses to not only win the NFC East, but get back to the Super Bowl. Let's flip it. What's more likely to happen this year? The Eagles miss the playoffs or Washington wins the division?
Ooh. I don't think the Eagles are going to miss the playoffs. I really don't. Q. They really have momentum, and they've built such a program where it's just a repeatable process. And I think it's going to be interesting. Can they be the first team since the Eagles 03-04 to repeat in this division? Washington is going to press them, and it's going to be fun to see how these two kind of jockey for position. And they play 2 times in the last 3 weeks of the season, so it may come down to that last game in Lincoln Financial Field, Week 18. But yeah, I think the Eagles do make the playoffs. They lost a lot of people, but Harry Roseman has that nucleus of young guys that he's drafted, and this draft class seems to be pretty good as well.
Well, listen. You still have Hurts. You have an offensive line. You have wide receivers, tight end. You have Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's your nucleus, right? I mean, we talked about the players they lost on the defensive side of the ball, but it seems as though with them, there's a reason they make the moves on the defensive end, the defensive line, because they're all about depth and rotating guys, second and short, third and long. They bring these guys in and they have a penchant to get to the quarterback. Now, you look at their win total, 11 and a half. 11 and a half. Some believe that's a touch too low. Others believe that is a touch too high. Now, we went through their schedule, and I'll do it again. They open against Dallas, then that early Super Bowl rematch. I hate the scheduling quirk here, on the road against Kansas City. The Rams played them tough. Buccaneers have always played them tough. Denver's a young team on the rise. The Giants stink. Vikes are going with a young quarterback coming off an injury. Then they have the Giants again. So you look at those first couple of games, you're going to give them a win against Dallas, correct?
They should, raise the banner. Everybody's
Okay.
going to be happy. Yeah, they
All
should
right.
be pretty handily, I would think.
Let's say they stub their toe against Kansas City, but then at home against the Rams, on the road against Tampa, at home against Denver. You see them running the table and winning 3 straight?
These are some tough games for them because, the Rams played very tough last year in the divisional round. And then you look at the Bucs have always kind of been their kryptonite. And the game, ironically, is back down in Tampa. So they could stub their toe there. Denver, I think they take care of business there. But Q, as we saw last year, the Eagles are not guaranteed to have a fast start. Last year was kind of like, all right, they kind of ramped up. And then in New Orleans, it was touch and go. They win that game, and then they went on from there. But early season is kind of where they would stub their toe, I would think.
If you look at this team and you look at the makeup of the team, what would concern you the most on what side of the ball? The defensive side, the offensive side? Do you look at, hey, maybe they're a little shaky here, maybe they can clean it up here?
Offensively, look, they brought everybody back. They have Brown, they have Smith on the outside. Their offensive line is pretty much intact, same as last year, except Tyler Steen's going to step in at that right guard instead of Mekhi Becton. They got Goddard to take the pay cut, and then Hurts and Barkley. So I think they're pretty much set on the offensive side of the football. Defensively, they got to find these replacement guys for Milton Williams and Sweat, but
how about secondary?
Stepped up. Their secondary is definitely Blankenship. He made some splash plays here and there, but he's a guy that can get beat in coverage. Cooper DeJean, I think they're still thinking about playing him as a nickel type guy. He's a very short tackler. He's good at covering that slot. I've heard whispers that maybe they'll try him on the outside. I'm just not sure about him as an outside corner. Obviously, they have Q Mitchell on the other side, and then they'll probably give, Eli Ricks or Kaylee Ringo, one of those guys, that type of opportunity.
And they signed Adoree Jackson too, and you're right. I mean, Mitchell and DeJean, they're heading in their second season. They had strong rookie campaigns. I think the wild card is going to be Ringo, the 22-year-old who was drafted in the fourth round. We saw teams were able to throw, but then conversely, we also saw games last year where at times offensively, Jalen Hurts did not make the right decision. And I think that's what still frustrates the Eagles fans. Like, they were winning in spite of that, or they were winning because Saquon's legs and they were pulling away from teams in the fourth quarter. A couple of years ago when they won that first Super Bowl, and I was doing a weekly spot with Nigel Bradham, that team was predicated on defense. I mean, they were just lights out, lights out. And then obviously after Wentz got hurt, Foles came in, and we know the rest is history. I thought last year was a little kind of mixed bag. When the defense needed to make plays, they made plays. And when the offense had to put up some numbers, the offense might struggle early. They might, but I still believe they are. I believe they are a playoff team. And again, maybe I am just looking at it differently than others. Like I just you're defending Super Bowl champs. You've gone to the Super Bowl 2 out of 3 years. I think they're a strong team. I'm actually going to lean over. I think they're going to win 12 games. Are you under over?
Q, yeah, I got to go with 12 or 13 wins for the Eagles this season. The key, obviously, is Kevin Patullo coming over to offensive coordinator. Is he going to be able to hit all the right keys, kind of what Kellen Moore did before he went to the Saints? So, but I think the Eagles, just a veteran team, and this young talent's coming along. I think they're just going to hit that number, and they're probably going to be pretty dominant.
All right, we'll get to Washington. Man times in Lincoln Financial Field. What was the first sporting event held ever at Lincoln Financial Field? No Googling honor system. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? Talking, what was that, soccer match, right? Barcelona?
Yeah, I believe it was a soccer match, but
Yeah.
I remember the first game was Rocky Balboa running up the steps and Joe
Tampa.
Jervis.
That was when
Yeah,
Jervicius tipped it to himself.
yeah.
Yeah. But the first event was a soccer game. Yeah, it was Barcelona, Manchester United. That's what I'm saying. Like they want to kind of come at the king, and they want to come at the goat with this kind of nonsense, and I'm just not having it. And the man's already aggravated because we probably didn't give enough love to the 49ers the other day. I remember that game, Tampa Bay, where Jervicius tipped it to himself. Remember that? That was a
Right.
Monday night game.
Yeah, it was another one of those Jervicius again. He closed out the vet,
That's
Tampa
right.
Bay,
That's
and then
right. That's
he
right.
came
That's right.
back in the opener and
This is
stuck it
ridiculous. These
again.
are yeah. Close out. See, this is what I'm saying. This is like a Stephen A. Smith take right now. This is not factually correct. And no Googler. I get peppered with stuff from my friends when I'm driving. I got a text, which you should never text and drive, and I got to come out. And again, I just got to drop the knowledge quickly because, as you know, that's what I do. Yep, Blaine Bishop still, running the wrong way, right?
Very good.
Coach Jervis just on that slant route. All right, Commanders 9.5. Bunker boys don't want to hear this. I think they go over 9.5. I think they are going to push the Philadelphia Eagles. I saw the video on Debo. It looks like he put on some weight. I mean, look, when it's hot out, he's going to flush off about 10 to 15 pounds. I still think if they can run the football, even if it's running back by committee, and you get something out of a veteran guy like Debo Samuel. Like you keep him on the field. I know Brown just got banged up, Gallup banged up. You got McLaren. You got to take care of that contract and get him in camp. But it's all on Daniels. And now it's year number 2. So do you believe they'll allow him to be more aggressive, throwing it down the field, audibles, reading defenses, quick releases? I think this team's going to average 25 to 28 points. They're going to be able to score. I'm just a little concerned with the offensive line. That if you were to tell me where's my concern, this kid was sacked 47 times last year. That's kind of my concern right there.
Yeah, it can be, and it's a work in progress in that offensive line for the Commanders, and they have Laramie Tunsil coming over from Houston. That was a huge get for them, and he's a veteran left tackle. He can set the edge, and they have Sam Consomme there, and they're bringing in Brandon Coleman at the other right tackle position. But you're right, Q. But some of those sacks, Daniels was holding the football a little bit too long, and I think this season he's going to be in full control of Kingsbury's playbook. I just heard last year he kind of cut some things down, made it easy for the rookie. They're going to open it up, and it's going to be fun to see how they use Debo. And Terry McLaurin's a big if. They got to get that contract situation sorted out. Noah Brown got hurt, unfortunately, the other day. So they're going to need Luke McCaffrey or one of these other guys to step up. Tight end, we know Zach Ertz coming back on a 1 year deal. Does he have enough left in the tank? And then the running backs, you have Robinson, you have Eckler, you have Rodriguez. Which one of those guys is going to step up?
Were the moves enough to contend with the Eagles, not only in the NFC East, but the NFC? Like, do you believe Washington's current makeup right now, um, they can be a serious Super Bowl contending team, like a serious threat?
I think they could be a threat to make the conference championship. They have to play with that same swagger that they had last year. They were young, they were loose, and this year they're going to have the bullseye on them. But I think Daniels is the type of player. He's coming in. He has a short memory, and he's just going to say, "Okay, offensive rookie of the year last year, but I'm going to put that in the rear view and step forward and try to take control of the situation." So it's going to be fun to watch the Commanders and bringing in a lot of new players and hopefully they gel.
Gary chimes in on X. Q, Lloyd, great stuff as always. I'm wondering if Lloyd thinks Daniels is set up to regress this year. I guess that's based on how he kind of burst on the scene last year.
Well,
I believe if the offensive line doesn't keep him upright, then sure, the kid might struggle here and there. But we started to see you hit the little wall, but then, he grew up again late in the season against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then they just ran that right into the playoffs and ultimately, ran into a buzzsaw in the NFC Championship game. Do you believe year number two? Are we at the end of the year or at some point during the season, are we going to now sit there and say, man, this kid is a bona fide superstar? He's top 2, 3 quarterback.
Hewitt's leaning that way. I mean, he's such a dynamic presence out there, and he's that dual threat quarterback that everybody wants in the NFL right now. And I know in the past there have been some quarterbacks in year two that have kind of regressed. Think of Vince Young, offensive rookie of the year. He seemed like he had it all figured out, but wasn't really doing the work off the field, and it kind of showed his second season and forward. So, I don't see that happening with Jaden Daniels. Everybody I talk to says first guy in, last one out type of leader. So I think he's going to have a very good year this season.
All right, let's get to the Dallas Cowboys. We have to appease some of the
Right.
listeners that are Dallas Cowboys fans. Win total is 7.5, and I believe that they are going to. I think they're going to be a bad football team. I really do. I mean, I'll throw it to you on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't see them winning 5 or 6 games.
This is going to be fun because I've been back and forth in the Cowboys 7-10 last year. So, do they get to that 7.5 win mark again? And we talked about this on my show. Brian Schottenheimer, guy was on their staff and they just kind of hand him the job after McCarthy leaves, and you're like, all right, is he really going to make a difference? And you have Clayton Adams at offensive coordinator. They're bringing Eberflus over at defensive coordinator, and defensively, Michael Parsons needs to get paid, and they have a lot of guys coming back from injury. So, like Trevon Diggs, been back and forth in this one. I think Dallas doesn't hit that 7.5 mark. I think they have a bad season, and they have a lot of shiny toys like Dak Prescott being paid, over $60 million. You have CeeDee Lamb. Now they have George Pickens. But how did all these pieces fit together? And then you're bringing over Javonte Williams. Is he going to make a difference? And Miles Sanders in the running game. So a lot of question marks with the Cowboys, and I just don't think they have the answers.
I just don't think they're a very good football team. I don't think the coaching staff is structured that sets it in line for a winning team. I don't. I mean, you can look at all the simulations. You can look at the roster from top to bottom. I just don't like. To me, I look at this team and I feel like it's a faceless team, right? It's a helmet with no decal because what are you banking on offensively? Like, where are you going to try to hang your hat on? Because Dak has shown that he can be inconsistent. He's also an injury-prone quarterback. They've got a stretch. Week 12, they host the Eagles. Then they have the Chiefs on Thursday night on Thanksgiving. Then they go to Detroit Thursday Night Football. And it's also, Dak and Parsons, they miss time. So are they going to be available? Are they going to be healthy? Are they going to be engaged for 17 weeks? And I don't know, even if they're there, if the ceiling goes up, I don't. But I look at this team and I think I pull up their schedule, and this is where I believe they're a 5 to 6 win team. And I'm going to tell you why. They open against the Eagles. They're losing that game. They'll come back and beat the Giants. I think they lose on the road to Chicago. I think they lose to Green Bay. I think they go on the road and they split with either the Jets or Carolina and come back and lose to Washington and Denver. And then they also lose to Arizona. So you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, the first 9 weeks, I see them maybe being a 2 to 3 win team. And then the rumblings are going to occur during the bye week. Then they have to go out west. Vegas is going to be better. Then you have Eagles, KC, Detroit, Minnesota, the Chargers, Washington. And by the time they play the Giants, they might already start to make, holiday plans. Like their schedule is really brutal, and they haven't shown me over the last several years that they can compete. They think they go out and they make a signing here and there, or the splash signing. That's all well and good. But where they screw themselves is they got players that they have to pay a lot of money to, and they still have to figure it out. And look at their stretch last year. Look at their stretch. When they started the season, they were 3-3, and they got pummeled by Detroit. And then 2 games later, Prescott gets hurt. They got blown out by Philly. They got blown out by Houston. They rolled over. They won a couple games here and there with Cooper Rush, and then they threw Lance out there in a meaningless game. I just don't like the makeup of this team. And if Prescott goes down, they are screwed.
I have to agree with you that they're close to rebuilding mode, and when you look at what they have, it's just not a lot. Yeah, they have some fantasy football type stats. CeeDee Lamb's going to put up his yards and catches, and Dak gets all his empty calorie. When games are out of hand, he's putting up big stats. But in the end, down in, down out, this roster is kind of depleted. And I think it points to Jerry Jones he still wants to be the general manager of his team. And they're just not built to win. And then Zach Martin retires. He was a huge building back on that offensive line. And then the defense, they allow 27 and a half points per game, this defense. That defense has a lot of problems. And you're bringing over Matt Eberflus, and is he going to make a difference? So I think it's going to be a long year for the Cowboys.
How much length here with the rope are they giving Schottenheimer?
You hate to say, okay, he's going to be a Steve Wilkes one and done type of guy, but it's possible. It's possible. And Jerry Jones, you just never know what he's going to do. He's a wild card. And I saw somebody on the message board saying Dion, but I don't know if that's going to happen either. But typically he gives, the Dave Campo types and Wannstedt, you could go on and on. He's had a bunch of guys you just shake their head as head coach. He'll probably give Schottenheimer, I'd say, at least 2 seasons.
Joey B says the stars are aligning in Dallas. Dion is coach 2027, Shador the quarterback in 2028. Hunter leaves Jacksonville 2029-30. I mean, I thought if there was an opportunity to go after Dion, they would have done it already. But, we know this, right? It's very hard to be that great player, that Hall of Fame type of player, and then come back and coach. I don't care what the sport is. Jovan chimes in. Cowboys secondary concern for me. Diggs stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, that's it. And you got guys coming off injuries as well. That's the problem. And I think some of it in the corners in the secondary, they are feast or famine. These guys, you can be a ball hawk, which is great, but sometimes you got to weigh the risk to reward. I mean, the other thing, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. Okay, where was the bulk of their sacks last year? Think about that for a moment.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of them. You had DeMarcus Lawrence. But they've tried a lot.
Five from a safety. You got 5 creeping up from a safety, like the D ends, the book ends, the tackles. That's where your sacks need to come from, right? At the end of the day, you got to get pressure.
Right, and they know they can double, triple team Michael Parsons because there's nobody helping them out. And they've tried a lot of retreads. This season, they brought in Dante Fowler Jr. What does he have left? They're going to try to get something out of him, but there's just not been consistent pressure, and that's why they've allowed so many yards and so many points on this defense.
All right, let us go to, let me see, Lloyd's books behind him are thicker than my LSAT books from the 90s. Sports books that size, respect for Lloyd. Yeah, he lays them out there, man. He's a history buff, right? Good one, Joey. All right, last but not least, my Giants, and I don't even know where to begin. 5.5. I mean, I'm going to hammer the under. And I'll leave it right now for the listening audience. I'll tell you right now in June, don't get on me on Mondays or football Fridays if I'm telling you right now, if the weather's 83, you know what's going on a Sunday. There's This team is going to be bad. I don't care what Wilson's doing in camp. I don't care if he's got a rapport with the young wide receivers and neighbors and all these. And you talk about the defense and Thibodeau and Burns and Carter getting to the quarterback. You can't touch the friggin' quarterback during training camp or OTAs. Relax. This team is going to be very, very bad. And I'm already thinking, because you know me, I'm a forward thinking guy. I want to think ahead. And I've already bookmarked it, Lloyd Vance. I'm going to tell you the exact week that Russell Wilson will be benched. And you let me know if you agree with this or not. Would you like to know?
I'm looking at the schedule. I see some opportunities.
All right. I will throw this to you. Do you give Wilson at least 6 to 7 games to start the season?
Oh, Q, week 7, they're at Denver in his old stomping grounds. Maybe right before then he gets benched. But the early season is kind of, at Washington, Dallas,
Loss.
obviously,
Loss.
coin flip game, Kansas City,
Loss.
Chargers,
Loss.
at Saints. If he
Eh,
plays bad against the Saints, they should win that one because the Saints are probably as downtrodden as they are. They host the Eagles,
Loss.
and then if they play that bad against the Eagles, yeah, maybe they say okay, going
They're not
into
going to start. They're not going to start a rookie on the road.
okay. So then maybe week 9, San Francisco.
There you go. I penciled it in already. Yep. The Jackson just eyed up like a dart era begins against San Francisco. And that's November. And I'm going to tell you why that's also a date. Because typically this team, which sucks the friggin' life out of me every single season, this team is not even in contention by see dart time dart Denver dart time. Russell Wilson benched by week 4. I'm going to give him a couple weeks. You know why? Because if they let's say the Giants split those first 2 games, they'll lose to the Chiefs, the Chargers. They're 1-3, and they beat the Saints 2-3. Oh, you're in it. You're going to get waxed by the Eagles, waxed by Denver, waxed by the Eagles. Now all of a sudden you're 2-6. Now it's the fan base revolting. Shane Dable on the hot seat. Here we go. Get the kids some reps. Because what typically happens, their season ends in friggin' October, and I can't take it. Before Halloween, there's no football to even remotely talk about or watch. It makes no sense. It's beyond me. So if I'm Mara, I'm looking at the friggin' stands in late November, early November, with the holidays right around the corner, and I'm thinking to myself, the stands are empty or they're being overrun by the opposing fan base. I need to at least give this fan base something to cheer about. It's the reason we traded back. It's the reason we drafted this kid. Get him out there and let the era begin. And then what happens when they win 4 games next year? That's when you friggin' clean house. I don't want to hear this nonsense anymore. Give Shane and Dable a year with this. I don't want to hear it. It's just done. And my major concern, my fear is this. They win 7 games by the grace of God. And Russell Wilson plays decent and he plays 17. Now you've wasted this kid's rookie season, number 1, and you think you can run it back with Russell Wilson, right? Because now if you won 7 and you lost 3 on last second field goals, you could have won 10. There's room for optimism. And as a Giant fan, that will make me just want to throw myself off the nearest bridge because I know how this franchise thinks. It's smoke and mirrors. I would rather see them struggle again. No disrespect to Russ. I don't want them to cook. I don't want them to marinate. Let them saute a little bit. Get 7 friggin' games in there. All of a sudden, something gets tweaked. You got to get benched, and here you go. Put the kid in because they're going to have another top 5 draft pick. Now, again, as I catch my breath and I reel all that off, if they do bench Wilson and they go to the kid and they win a game or 2, does that buy Dable and Shane, who are lame duck? They're lame duck now because think about it, 1-year contracts. There's no multi-year deals or extensions with these two goofballs. Does that give them? Does that give them a little more equity with the franchise? Meaning, you know what? Hey, we're going to give you time to really groom this kid. He's your quarterback.
Yeah, I think they burned a lot of their equity with the Mara and Tish that run that team. It's just like, all right, we'll give you one more chance at this thing, and I think Mara, he's got egg on his face already because McAdoo and all these other coaches failed. Joe Judge, and it was a quick trigger on them. But I was surprised it came back to begin with. It was just such a bad situation last year. 3-win team, very embarrassing. Defense that allowed over 400 points, weren't stopping anybody. Yes, you have Malik Neighbors, a couple bright spots here and there, but there was just not a lot of positivity. So they bring him back, and we'll see how this is going to work out. But yeah, Jackson Dart, they need to get him out there, if there's an opportunity, because let's face it, at this point in his career, Russell Wilson, we know who he is. He's going to make some nice deep throws here and there.
Stop it. He stinks.
The Neighbors. But he's just not that playmaker he used to be when his legs were, dynamic. So
what's he going to say at a press conference? Big Blue United. What does he say when he was with Denver? What was it? Round up, like Warren G. Greatest song ever.
Say, go Hawks.
What is it? What is it?
You always say "Go Hawks" back in the stage.
Big Blue. Frig out of here.
You can't have a moniker anymore at this stage in his carear. And
moniker, I wouldn't even give him I wouldn't even give him a parking space. This guy, he's brought in as a stopgap. Him and Jameis Winston, right? Man says, "Hang in there, fight on Sundays. Don't find Aquabunka like your divisional rivals." Oh, look at this, Scotty H chiming in. What about my Browns, Q? Hey, we talked about the Browns the other day. Lloyd thinks that Sanders is going to be the week 1 starter. Yes, I am definitely going to get some serious walks in. Yeah. Giants are on. Get so pissed he'll walk the dog on Sundays for 3 hours.
Don't root for the laundry. Watch all the games, man. Enjoy it.
But it's not even that. It gets to the point where it's not enjoyable.
Right.
It gets to the point where it's so bad where you're right. I could vacuum. I can prep. I can take notes. I can do laundry. I can sit outside with a cup of fresh roasted coffee and I can have the game on behind me. I know how it's going to end. They don't give you any type of relevant football. That's the problem. They have no direction. They are a rudderless ship. Mara has his head up his ass. They decide we're going to turn around off of one playoff win by Daniel Jones and give him 4 years for $160, $40 friggin' million. That's what the market bared. The kid earned it, and then he gets hurt. Then he wants to get released. Then you have no answers. I hear these idiots saying that Tommy DeVito was going to be the passing paisan. Cutlet Boy was going to be the franchise quarterback. Are you kidding me? It's the same quarterback they refused to allow to throw against the New York Jets 2 years ago. They have no direction as a franchise. And when you're grasping for straws, no disrespect to Howie's Cleveland Browns, but that's what the Browns used to do. That's what the Bucks used to do. That's what Washington used to do when they went through 10 quarterbacks in 12 seasons. That's where the Giants are at. And they're also doing something that is so un-Giant-like. They're hiring and firing coaches. You go from Coughlin. All right, see ya. You push him out the door. The friggin' McAdoo, and I couldn't stand him with his oversized friggin' Denny's menu. I mean, my God. They won the division. They got to the playoffs, and they lost to Green Bay. They get rid of him. Then they bring in who? The jackass Shermer. Then they bring in who? The bully Judge. And now you got Dable, who did not want Daniel Jones, who did not. So it's like, you've got a GM and a head coach that they're treading lightly. They're treading water. Like they want to put their feet on the ground. They want to believe that if they touch, the surface, sea level, they're going to be able to stand. It's waist high. And that's not where they're at right now. And it bothers me and concerns me because this. We know this from covering the league. When you have a coach that already is on shaky ground, he can't coach the way he really wants to coach. He's coaching to save his job. And I get it. I understand that. But the first time it's 4th and 3 and they're on the Eagles 40-yard line and they elect to go for a field goal, that tells you everything you need to know. You're not coaching the way you want to coach because you're so worried you're going to check the back pages of the Post or Newsday or listen to the Fan and everyone calling you for your job. And these guys listen. Mara listens. They hear. They know. So now all of a sudden, you got no one in there in November. You're 3-7. You're 3-8. What does he do? Go to the kid, fire the coach. And you can't run a franchise like that. You can't. You're not going to be successful running a franchise. And that's what they've been doing for the last 10 years. And as a fan, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I
I'm,
get
I'm,
it.
I'm done.
And I don't think they've reached that 5.5. I think they're a 4 or 5 win team. All the negativity around this already, they aren't even in training camp, and everybody's talking about, all right, stink up the joint. Maybe they'll get Arch Manning,
Yeah,
and they just have no plan. As you said, yeah, Carter can't miss prospect, but did they really need him? And then, yeah, you're gonna have a great defensive line, but is that enough? Other than Neighbors, what else does this roster have? Not a lot.
they don't. And Michael, yeah, we've got all the divisions we're gonna run. We're gonna run through. We're gonna run through all the divisions. So yeah, we're definitely gonna get. We're just running through the NFC right now. So we both believe that this is a 4-win team. By the way, that is a great question by Jovan. Will
Yeah,
Danny Nichols and the Colts have a better record than the Giants? Oh my God, it would be
but
so.
I believe they will. I believe they will, and I think he's going to get his opportunities because Richardson, that shoulder injury,
Shut him
I
down.
think he's going to play a lot, and he has that 48% completion percentage. So even if he does play, he's just not
Can
good
you
enough.
imagine? I mean, again, it's Monday morning quarterback, and the fan base was tired. Daniel Jones just couldn't play in New York anymore. But he starts 17 games. He throws for 3,500 yards, which in today's NFL, you and I can do it blindfolded, and throws for 30 touchdowns, and the Colts win 9 games. I go from Saquon, who runs for 2,000, who shoves it right up my culo, and they win a championship. And then you got Danny Nichols in Indianapolis leaving the Colts to the AFC South divisional title, and I'm sitting here with Jackson Dart in November when it's cold out and I can't fish and the dog's friggin' barking and they're getting blown out at 425 by the friggin' Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, is that what you guys want? I feel as though that you guys are putting that on me, and I got an issue. I got a real problem with that.
I'll
All
give you
right.
a sanity check.
Yes. Yeah. I say 4 wins by the Giants.
Yeah, I say definitely less than 5, and I think it's going to be a struggle. And with that schedule we kind of went over, I just think it's going to get ugly quick, and then we'll see how it blows up.
Over under on NFL week that Death Star might get thrown through the window. Q watches the Giants. You might get plus 4.5. I don't know what week it was last year because I had the game on the radio, and the fish weren't biting, so I was already pissed off. Um, and it was just a no show. It was just there were games last year that you would say, hey, win the battle in the trenches, right? Mano y mano. You're better than this team that you're playing, and we know there are games teams lose during the regular season. You have no business losing, and then you have no business winning. But they no showed to open up the season against Minnesota. Then they fought hard against Washington and had some bad calls. Then, you got a nice win against Cleveland. Okay, fine. The Seattle was probably their big win. I'm not even counting the Indianapolis game late in the season because at this point it didn't affect the draft. But then, you look at some of these games and the defense hung around as much as they could. Like this offense needs to generate 25 points for them to win. 25 points. And I'm just going to go real quick last year. They scored 25 points last year. One.
They averaged 16 points per game
Oh,
on
oh,
offense.
oh,
Terrible.
one. 2 times.
Yeah.
The Seattle game and 45 against Indianapolis. And I think they had a pick 6. So it's really what? 30. Yeah. Their offense stinks. So what makes me think that offensive line that had all those quarterbacks running for their life is going to be able to keep Russell Wilson upright for the first 7-8 weeks? I just don't buy it. I don't.
Yeah, they brought in John Runyon Jr. on that offensive line, but they haven't changed much there. Everybody obviously likes Andrew Thomas, very good player, but they
But he
still
got
have
hurt.
Evan Neal still around. I
He
mean, they're
stinks
trying to make
too.
guard now. Yeah, it's just they've had just terrible
They're going to
hands.
have to win games. They're going to have to win games with their defense, Lloyd. They're going to have to win games with their
They're
defense.
having to
That's
get some
just
turnovers. They're bringing in Javon Holland at safety. A guy that was a playmaker in his Miami days. But
Thibodeau,
maybe the
Burns, and
pass rush
Carter.
brings peace. Yeah, if they get the pass rush with Lawrence and the rest of those
Yeah.
guys, maybe it helps them. But I just don't see it because this offense, as we said, they're just not scoring points. And that was Dayball's calling card. He was an offensive
because he
genius.
didn't trust the quarterback. That's another, and thank you for bringing it up. He didn't trust the quarterback. He thought he can come in and make Daniel Jones Josh Allen. That's what he thought. And come on, man. That's not even apples and oranges. That's apples and prunes. Like Josh Allen is an MVP quarterback. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Jones right now is a journeyman veteran quarterback who can play a little bit, but you have to utilize their strengths. Daniel Jones' strength is the RPOs and running, but then more times from not, the offensive line was so shaky, he was running for his life and he took all these hits. When you give him a clean pocket, every quarterback should be able to make throws, routine throws. He was missing routine throws. So what happens? Dable gets pissed off. So now all of a sudden the offense is more predicated on the ground game. And if you're only picking up 3.2, 3.3 yards, that's going to put what? More stress on the offense. 2nd and 7, 3rd and long. And that's not where you want to be. It's not where you want to be. And that's been the problem. Teams like Baltimore, Kansas City, the Eagles, Cincinnati, Buffalo, they have a balanced attack. Pick up 4 or 5 chunk plays, then all of a sudden, boom, they're going to beat you over the top for 15 or 20. They have confidence in their scheme and their system and their players. The Giants don't. They do not. They do not have that at all. And that's one of the reasons that this team is going to flounder again. Again. It's not funny. It's actually disheartening.
Sorry. It's going to be a long year for Big Blue.
It is. It is. I don't think. What do you think is going to happen with Arch Manning?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if it's the Giants or it's the Saints, or some other team that stinks up the joints. But I think he definitely will go in the draft next year, and he's going to be that big prize. Now, we have to see how he plays now that he's going to be the starter week in and week out. But in the glimpses that we've seen of Arch Manning, he looks like a quality prospect.
Yeah. Well, listen, we got a couple more. We got another month plus to dive into the divisions. We will do it again either tomorrow or Monday. We'll continue to look at the. Hold on a second. We got a good fellas, right? Nichols is gone. Say you want to laugh. These pricks asked me to stand up in the pocket in New York for $7,000. I charge. $7,000. This guy wants me to christen his kid. Can you believe that? All right, my friend. Mondays, 8:00, SR 1029 FM The Game. Lloyd Vance's Insider Football. We're gonna wrap it up 6:00, right on the nose, about 10 after 6. Appreciate you guys hanging. We apologize for the audio issues. Tomorrow, What the Freak Friday edition of Middays with Q. A lot more NFL talk, little baseball talk. I will pop up real quick while I have Lloyd before I let him get out of here. I will give everyone. Last night, 2-1 again with the picks. We've had a nice little run of late. We've had a nice little run. So we're going to ride the Yankees. Aaron Judge, anytime home run, take it tonight. Also, Cubs, Pirates, run line the over, and I like the Panthers. Are you watching the Stanley Cup Finals at all?
I watch it here and there,
You watching the NBA Finals?
Yes. Yeah, my sons are big in the NBA, so I watch that. And the Pacers, it's surprising because I thought OKC, they were going to run away with this thing, but it looks like it's going to be a series.
No, I thought as well. But hey, you never know. I mean, you can't go behind three games to one. So, all right, my friend, I always appreciate you jumping on board. Lloyd Vance kind enough to join us, as I mentioned, a couple minutes past 6:00 hour. Don't forget, follow us on social media, YouTube channel as well, SR102, Trix57, and Rich Q on Q. We will do it again tomorrow. Have a good sports Thursday. And for our good friend Lloyd Vance, I'm Rich Quinones. As always, this is Middays with Q. Hasta luego, buen día. Appreciate you, Lloyd. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Q.